Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, "When I was young, I admired clever people. Now that I am old, I admire kind people." A fitting reflection as we come together for Yizkor to remember those in our lives and their attributes. I'm just going to wait a second. A few more people are working on getting seats. In thinking about kindness, I am reminded of a beautiful story. It seems that many years ago, a little 7-year-old boy and his family were about to leave their native Poland. The day before their departure, the father took the little boy to the town where the Rabbi lived so he could receive the Rebbe's blessing. They remained overnight in the home of the Rabbi, and the little boy slept in the Rebbe's study. Staring at all the holy books, the little boy could not sleep. In the middle of the night, he saw the Rebbe come to the room, and he pretended that he was asleep. The Rebbe whispered, "Such a sweet child." Thinking that the child might be cold, the Rebbe took off his coat and placed it lovingly on the sleeping child. Many years later, when the little boy became an old man of 80, he was asked what was the source of his kindness and comfort. He said that 73 years ago, the Rebbe showed him love and comfort, placing his coat on him to keep him warm. "I am still warm from that coat," said that 80-year-old man. I love this story. It inspires us to ask, how do we keep warm? The most obvious answer is heat and fire. And how important is fire in Judaism? Could it have a sense of spiritual resonance for us today as we think about those who were kind and those that we recall? In a Jewish publication called Mosaic, Eric Cohen and Mitchell Rocklin wrote, "Stories of fire, images of fire, rituals of fire. The Jewish tradition unfolds in flames. During the Hanukkah festival, fire is central. And as Rabbi Jonathan Sachs describes, even after the temple was destroyed more than 2 centuries later by the Romans, the Hanukkah lights bore witness to the fact that after the worst destruction, the worst desecration, something pure remains, lighting a way to the future. The Hanukkah lights became one of the great symbols of hope. But Hanukkah is hardly unique in putting fire at the center. The Passover story begins with a burning bush that remains unconsumed. At the Passover Seder, Jews compare the 10 plagues of Egypt with blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. And God protected the Israelites by a pillar of fire. The Seder concludes with a blessing for the retelling of the Exodus and the hope for a restoration of burnt offerings and the rebuilding of Jerusalem with fire. It is clear that fire has played a central role in our narratives as a people and in our relationship with God. Cohen and Rocklin wrote, "There are multiple ways of understanding fire. The Bible's face of fire is the illuminating and protective sense of God. The Lord went before them in a pillar of cloud by day to guide them along the way, and in a pillar of fire by night to guide them at night. And the pillar of fire did not depart from the people. In other words, God's fire abides. In all of these cases, there is a sense of the transcendent and the immanent. God is both near and far. And it reminds us, since we are all created B'Tselem Elohim, in God's image, we have an opportunity to bring this warmth and this sense of righteousness and guidance and kindness to others if we stop long enough to understand this. In our lives, there are people that have guided us as the fire guided the Israelites. In our lives, there are fires that continue to burn in a way that inspires us for greatness. In our everyday experiences, there are fires that can warm our body and our soul. But how do we recall that energy on a day like today, where we are spending so much time in shul focusing on what we have done wrong, reciting the prayers over and over, confessing our sins? How do we recognize when others have done right by us or what we have done for others? I think that coming together now for this moment lights the flame that illumines a path to look beyond that which is right in front of us. On Yizkor, and to mark a yahrzeit, an anniversary of one's passing, we light a candle as the reminder of the soul that has departed. We read in Mishlei, the person's soul is the candle of God. The person's soul is the candle of God. On the anniversary of a death, when we pray and we do actions that elevate the soul of the departed, we symbolize it through that candle. To me, this ritual is so compelling. It gives an actual way to feel the presence of our loved one, even if we can't see them. In many ways, it is like the Ner Tamid, the eternal flame above us. We can't see God, but we can experience God's presence. It's like I explained to our pre-K students. You can't see love, but you can feel love. And they knew exactly what I meant. The jacket put on the little boy in the story that I shared gave him not only physical warmth, but it warmed his heart and his spirit as well. The kindness that was displayed that resulted in the boy being warm should be an inspiration for us today. We need to look for these moments of kindness where people displayed warmth. I've been thinking a lot about kindness lately, especially, and as Shari mentioned as well, because Mark Wiener of blessed memory passed away and I recently officiated at his unveiling. Mark was a past president of this congregation, and one of the things that kept him up at night and literally had him knocking on my door and sitting at my desk was a conversation about Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz has two meanings. First, it means the way of the land. How should we correctly perform Jewish customs? When should we stand? When should we sit? When should we bow? He would say, Rabbi, can you remind us when we should do that? But Derech Eretz has another meaning as well that is deeply connected to Mark. To act with Derech Eretz is to act with kindness, respect, and poise, to treat people as you would want to be treated. Simply put, to be kind. And this was Mark. Mark was one of the most decent, kindest men that I knew. And I only knew him for 7 years. On his tombstone, his family put the following words: Mark Wiener, beloved husband, father, grandfather, brother, and uncle, our guidance, our anchor, our hero. We continue in awe of your wisdom, dignity, and integrity. These words describe the warmth and the guidance of a man that we remember today as we hold machzors in our hands, as our souls are warmed through his spirit. During this day of remembrance, we need to ask, what are the kindnesses that we can recall? I reached out to some friends, asked them, is there a kindness that has been done to you? One said, here is a kindness that I'll never forget. And I recall it anytime anyone asks me about caring for people as they sit Shiva. When my friend, my age, was sitting Shiva for her brother-in-law, parents of two of her son's friends came over, unsolicited and unplanned, and just took their young son out for dinner. It was a loving, caring gesture that she will never forget. She was such a mess, she didn't know how to say anything other than yes and thank you. And she will always recall them with immense kindness and gratitude. Another friend wrote, when I got sick post-surgery, friends drove from another borough to collect my daughter, to give me the space that I needed to care for myself and give her the fun and attention that she deserved. One great definition of kindness is loaning someone your strength instead of reminding them of their weakness. Loaning somebody your strength instead of reminding them of their weakness. How different would our society be if we worked to see random acts of kindness in one another? How different would the world be if we expected and assumed the best in people, not the worst? If we held ourselves up to a standard of being kinder than we can imagine, so that someone might tell a story about us. It is Yizkor, and we are here to remember people in our lives, and then to act on their behalf, since they can no longer do it from beyond the grave. So whose kindness should we recall, and what can we do in their memory? One of the people that I recall today is my grandfather. My grandpa, Jack, was a bit of a bull in a china shop. And there were a few attributes that he had that I might not emulate. But he died 10 years ago this winter, and I've been thinking a lot about him. Let me paint a picture of my grandpa by sharing one story. In describing him, I often share the story of the moment he met Dave. I was in college, and I went to visit my grandparents on Long Island. Dave and I had just started dating, and so Dave drove me from his mom's house in Great Neck to my grandparents' house in Old Brookville. We entered the house through the side door, the same door that I would always enter when I would go with my parents. Dave and I stood in the family room, and Dave looked like a normal person would do at all the pictures on the wall, on the mantle, and on the coffee tables. Now, my grandparents had 12 grandkids, so they had lots of pictures. And Dave was looking at the pictures of me from when I was young up until then. Seemingly out of nowhere, he heard a bellowing voice, "Everything to your liking?" There was Grandpa, standing behind him. The rest was history. Fortunately, Grandpa approved. My grandpa had a deep kindness within him, sometimes hidden in his gruffness. I could feel his love, though, when he would kiss me hello on my cheeks through his scruffy beard. His sweetness and his kindness came through when we were least expecting it. Just a few months ago, 9.5 years after my grandpa's death, my uncle received a copy of a letter sent to the rabbi of the congregation on Long Island, where my grandfather had been very involved. This man was now living in Massachusetts. Dear Rabbi, next month I am being recognized by my synagogue, a small Reform temple in Massachusetts, for my contributions to the community. As part of this, I'll be giving a short talk during our Friday evening service on what the temple means to me. To me, it is all about being a part of a community. But what does this really mean? I am reminded of a time when I was much younger, and my family was a member of Congregation Tifereth Israel. One cold day, an oil truck came to our house and filled our tank. I recall my parents being surprised, for they had not ordered the truck, and also that the truck driver said that they were told to deliver the oil by Jack Ain, who was president of CTI at the time. I never knew much about Mr. Ain, other that he was an imposing figure on the bima. I don't know how he knew that we needed help, or who actually paid for the oil. But I am now fortunate enough to never need to worry about heat again, and I hope to pass on this mitzvah. So I looked up the cost of filling up an oil tank today, and it's about $900. As $1,800 is a significant number, I am sending you $900 and my rabbi $900, and ask that you use it to help those in your community, much as CTI and Jack Ain once helped my family. While this gift is not restricted, I hope you can find a way to heat someone's home. Fire, heat, warmth, lighting the Yizkor candles awakens our sense in a way that can be deeply emotional. We can see the reflections of our loved ones as we see the flickering of a flame. But we also know that the candle will eventually extinguish, but the memory of its light will remain, like the memory of the person will remain. And though we only light a Yizkor candle a few times a year, we can find comfort any time by recalling our fond memories of a person that we've lost. Rabbi David Teutsch said, "Every once in a while, when I glance down and see my hand, I get a jolt. It looks like my father's hand. And I remember the enveloping touch of that warm, dry hand, its gentle embrace of mine. Though a number of years have gone since my father's passing," Rabbi Teutsch says, "I suddenly feel his presence in my mind when I least expect it. Usually that brings a smile to my lips." My relationship with my father has taught me that love is as strong as death. He is a beneficent presence bound up in my life because of the way I remember him. As we come together now for Yizkor, let us remember the kindnesses of our loved ones, the warmth from them, and the glow that we can emit through their memories and actions. May their memories forever be a blessing. Gemar Chatima Tova.